Dan Hunt, and this is Up Close and Personal. I'm sitting with Eric Spire.
You got it.
I said it right.
You did.
Eric Spire. He's one of the co-founders of World CryptoCon. And you know, Eric, and we're sitting here as a co-founder of World CryptoCon. You and I first talked about this about 6 months ago, is when we first met and started talking about being here. And now we're looking out and they're tearing things down and the construction guys are pulling stuff out of the room. How do you feel?
It's been quite an amazing experience. It is crazy to see the tear down. I feel like I've been on a roll since before we started just a few days ago.
Right.
Watching things go up, and it's amazing that it's a few days later and things are being torn down and we're going to get kicked out of this facility any minute now.
That's right. So, you know, let's talk about World CryptoCon. I have had the pleasure and honor of interviewing most of the big CEOs and founders and the large speakers. I've done over 40 interviews over the last 3 days. And all of them have said this has been an incredible event. So, you know, this is your guys' first time out of the chute. You know, what do you attribute that to?
Well, so we really attribute that to, we've all been to dozens of conferences over the last few years, and it's purposeful. We wanted to do something that is not just a box full of pipe and drape and FedEx Kinko's banners behind people, and something that's interactive, fun, and that people can enjoy being part of. So the whole idea was to be in a first-class facility with first-class events, something that's interactive, people can enjoy themselves, and something that people leave and they talk about. That was the best cryptocurrency and blockchain conference I've ever been to.
You know, let's talk about this beautiful facility, the Aria Hotel. What a place.
Well, yeah, it's amazing. You know, I lived in Las Vegas when they were building the Aria and this entire facility, the Cosmo and this whole space. And what I know is that they had some funding issues and they cut down on their spend and didn't complete the conference center exactly how they wanted to. So this facility is brand new. It's amazing, and it was the pure vision of what they started out with, and the execution on it's beautiful. You walk around, the wood detail is amazing, the conference space is amazing, the side rooms are amazing. It's just a first-class, world-class event.
You know, and I also got to talk about the people. You know, it's almost like a Disney-type experience because all the Aria people have been so great. From the food service to the bellman, right down to the union contractors here, Freeman Company that is here. They actually came over to me a minute ago and said, you know, I see you're still going, you're still doing stuff. We're going to tear your booth down last so you guys just can keep working and keep going. And you know, honestly, doing this all over the world, I've never had that before.
Right, usually it's the get out moment, clear your stuff up, and you have somebody standing behind you asking you to exit the facility now.
Exactly. So here we are. Do you feel it was a successful event?
I really do. You know, so what was really important to us was that this event set the bar for us for what people can expect from us from today into the future. So there's an intention that every event we do is one step beyond the event before. So if you came to World CryptoCon this year, or you see any of the footage, or you understand the experiences that people had, you can expect that next year it's going to be one step above.
Okay, so Eric, you know, Up Close and Personal is a show not just about the event. You know, we're here at the event, we're talking about the event, we're talking about the structure behind the event, but what we really like to do is talk about the people. We like to talk about the people that put things on and how they got to be as successful as they are today. You grew up in a affluent neighborhood.
I did.
Tell me about growing up.
Well, so I grew up in Santa Cruz, California in the 70s, and I lovingly say it's the most hippie place in the United States, and occasionally it wins awards for that. And it's amazing because now Santa Cruz is not the most expensive place in Northern California to live.
Right.
Houses that are 900 square feet in San Jose are $2 million. Santa Cruz is still very expensive, but it has not had the price appreciation. But yeah, so my father was a surgeon. My mom taught first grade. I grew up, my parents moved there straight out of the Air Force. From Beale Air Force Base to Santa Cruz, California. My father was the first oral surgeon in town. Walked into the bank, got a loan to start a business, and I grew up naked on the beach in the 70s in Santa Cruz.
Wow, what a life, huh?
It was great.
You know, but that sounds so great, but you know, there's always a dark side, there's always another side. You were taken to school every day by your dad.
I was.
Okay, he drove you to school every day as a little kid, but he didn't just drive you to school at 9 o'clock and drop you off like all the other kids.
That's right.
Tell me about that experience.
Well, so it's interesting. So I realized as I got older that my first math skills were developed in these opportunities with my father. And so I would get up for school at 5:30, and my dad would take me at 5:45, and every day, and back then, no one today is going to understand what this name is, but it was Shearson, and it was the brokerage that was that my father went to every day before he went to work. So from 6 a.m. to 9, we would go watch the market open on a 15-minute delay ticker, and he traded equities. And so I learned about trading equities, and back then stocks were priced in eighths. And so part of my youth from 6 years old on was learning math skills that were part of equities. So I charted his stocks. I learned about candlestick charts from Barron's and the Wall Street Journal. I actually drew his charts on graph paper for him every week so he could keep track of his portfolio. And he also was a gambler.
So it didn't stop there.
It didn't stop there.
It didn't stop there. You learned about fractions and gambling.
I did.
How'd you do that?
So statistics came in a similar fashion. My dad also liked to play blackjack and craps, and he owned a racehorse. So in the same era, I love, of course, being around the animals, but at the racetrack, it was how to handicap horses. So that was statistics. And you know, that's how I came about math, and I've been great at it ever since. As I got older, on my 21st birthday, I used to play single deck blackjack, and I could certainly keep track of counting cards, and I know that they have people that look out for that. And I was good enough at it that I could talk to the dealer and act like I didn't know how to play blackjack and ask really inappropriate questions about whether I should hit or not, or what the appropriate move was, while still keeping track of the deck.
So you were a pretty good gambler.
I was.
You know, and to get where you got to in life, you had to take some gambles.
Right.
Okay, so you went to college, you learned, what did you take in college?
I studied electrical engineering and went on to secondary degrees in music and European history.
So you have 2 secondary education degrees,
Correct.
3 degrees total.
Yes.
Another overachiever. You know, it has been a theme here as we interview the CEOs and presidents and hedge funds managers. All of these people tend to be overachievers. Now,
right.
Why do you think that is?
You know, I had a funny conversation with someone recently, and we were all overachievers, and it turned out that we were all Capricorns, and so the hippie kid in me from Santa Cruz might attribute it to that. But really, we talked about gambling, and so my father was a gambler, and I gambled maybe with my father when I was 21, but I lived in Las Vegas for 12 years, and I definitely never gambled when I lived in Las Vegas. And as an adult, as I went through college and I started my own businesses, one thing that I found super comfortable to be in a situation where I took a ton of risk, but if the risk was on myself and my skill sets and the things that I could achieve and have control over, I was comfortable with taking on that risk. So very few failures, very stressful at times, but in that same vein, I was always gambling on myself. So I wasn't necessarily hitting the blackjack tables, but I was taking those risks on for personal, really as the buck stopped with me, and I felt comfortable with that.
You know, in true fashion to being an overachiever in college, you started your business while you were in college still.
I did.
And that grew and grew and grew. Let's talk about your bout with the music industry.
Sure. So when I was at University of California, I opened an independent record store in Santa Cruz, and it became sort of a hub for dance music, which was, at the time, it was a bit of an import from the UK. We had all kinds of DJs, and this is vinyl, of course, doing underground parties. Part of my start in that was helping carry the speakers for a group called Wicked, which was all imports from London. And we actually made Rolling Stone magazine in 1993 because we closed down Highway 1 because we had 3,000 people on Bonnie Doon Beach and they couldn't get traffic passed. The police showed up and they actually couldn't shut the party down because what are you going to do with 3,000 people on the beach and the freeway closed? So they just kind of waited for the sun to come up. We had a great time and it ended, and we ended up in Rolling Stone magazine. But
wow.
That's the beginning of that. The record store was home base for starting a record label, building a recording studio, developing a career with independent record labels, building global brands, taking, at one point, I like to tell people, I remember a moment in the early 90s when I looked out at a warehouse event that we were doing. I had 500 people there and no insurance, and I'm thinking to myself, I hope nothing goes wrong. I can't imagine ever being responsible for more than 500 people. A few years later, I said the same thing again, and that number was 5,000 people. And within another year or so, that number was 25,000 people, and it was every month. And so we put a lot of people through the doors. It allowed me to tour around the world, to go to Fuji Rock in Japan, to go all over Europe, and eventually to kind of decide, I definitely don't want to live out of a suitcase. And I was getting into producing that whole time and building my recording studios and that business, and just absolutely transitioned into only producing music and no longer touring as an artist.
World CryptoCon is not the only thing you do.
That's right.
Let's talk about the other side of Eric, besides what we do here at World CryptoCon.
Well, okay, so interestingly, I guess I would say I still work almost exclusively in startups. So I do work with a project in Johnson & Johnson Labs and J Labs in La Jolla, and everything else is blockchain or cryptocurrency. So I have some very interesting and unique projects in blockchain that I advise and help them make decisions on various, whether it's marketing or token strategies or fundraising and capital formation. And another part of what I do is what is known as OTC transactions in Bitcoin, which is connecting, in my case, people do OTC transactions which are very small, where you might, they call it local Bitcoin, and you might buy 2 Bitcoin from somebody and show up with the cashier's check, or you have a small escrow. I work with institutional buyers and hedge funds that are looking for other institutional sellers and high net worth or mining firms that are liquidating their positions, and we're putting together multi-billion-dollar deals in those cases.
Wow. Again, this overachiever attitude that I've seen here at World CryptoCon from everybody out there, it has to come from a mindset. So talk to me about how important mindset is to you.
I guess mindset's very important. I've been challenged. I know we've shared this personally. Had some health challenges in 2010, where had a 24-hour nurse for a year of my life, and was looking at assisted living or a 24-hour nurse. That was financially challenging. It was mentally challenging. And it was something that you can either lose yourself in and give up and decide to just be part of the welfare state, or you can just pick yourself up and you can figure something out again, work really hard, believe in yourself, and have that belief, like gambling on yourself, that I have my faculties and I'm willing to take that risk on myself, and I know that taking that risk is something that's achievable.
Right. Well, that is really a great mindset. Let me ask you, if you were going to talk to the youth right now, the kids that are 12 to 18 years old, they're in their formative years, they're ready to get out and get going. And one of the things that I hear all the time is, I can't do it. It can't be done. What do you have to say to that?
That's interesting. I don't think I know of a moment that I think to myself, that can't be done. I think things are always ripe for disruption, whether we know it or not. I definitely don't have a it can't be done mentality. I look back, I have this unique circumstance where health became an issue in the prime of my life out of nowhere, where I went to the gym all the time. I could work 20 hours a day for forever if that's what I needed to do. I could always rely on myself. So the one piece of advice I do give younger people, especially in this industry where overnight wealth happens, and people have the opportunity to spend a ton of money, they're not used to that, it's new, would be that I had 5 cars in my driveway at one point. I look back on those moments in time, I didn't need 5 cars. Why did I have 5 cars? It's not necessary. You don't need to outlive your abilities or have anything to prove to anybody else. Allow what you do and how you perform as a human and the path of least destruction that you leave in your wake of humanity by the decisions that you make speak for themselves.
Eric, congratulations on an event that is just incredible. You know, we look forward to being part of your team in the future and doing Up Close and Personal and working with you and Adam in the future, because it has truly been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you,
being
Dan.
here. I'm Dan Hunt from the Aria Hotel Casino Resort, and my wife always makes me say spa. Okay.
Yes.
We got to get that spa in there because that's her favorite thing in the whole world. At World CryptoCon 2018. We are actually probably the last people at World CryptoCon. The room is hollow. It's echoing in the room. So thank you all for watching tonight. This is Dan Hunt saying have a great rest of today and an even better day tomorrow.